Bankai is one of the most iconic phrases in Bleach, and let's be honest, a little bit cringe. But what are the strongest Bankais ever in Bleach? Now, if you're a little bit worried about manga spoilers, this is going to be only anime adaptation, so do not worry. There's going to be no spoilers unless you haven't watched the anime. But if you haven't, why are you even watching this video? Catch up already, my guy. This is going to be the top 10 strongest Bankais right now. I am very bad at pronouncing things, so if that bothers you at all,
I'm sorry I warned you ahead of time.
now this basically is just a skull-like weapon that allows him to use it as a whip or a chain, but basically will rip through his opponents, and it's very similar to Gen's, which we'll talk about, spoilers, a little bit later. So he sends it out, and it's not too fast, but it does have destructive power. But the key thing about this is if it breaks apart or someone destroys his Bankai, he has control over each individual vertebrae they can send flying into his opponents, and he can also use all of his spiritual pressure into the Bankai. Essentially, it doesn't have too much power, but it is pretty useful. Number 9. Now this is where you guys are gonna cringe a little bit, where my mispronunciations are going to annoy you, but his Bankai is a little hard to read. Huzuki Maru, and I'm gonna say it like that because that's the easiest one to say. So essentially what he does is have two giant, I would say, cleavers, and on the back of him he has a dragon that's charging up spiritual pressure, holding it within, and then he can unleash it onto his opponents. You see this when he fights one of the Iran cars, not numbered obviously, but he unleashes this Bankai and it's completely destructive. Honestly, it's a little bit underrated, but it does take a long time to charge up, and he has to stand still while he swings it around. It does have some crazy destructive power, and even with the cleavers, they're still super powerful, but again, a stronger opponent will just completely get rid of him because he's standing still, and he also can't use his really maximum speed that he learns in the Squad 11, that they all have crazy physical feats, and he himself is completely drained after using his Bankai because it does take an immense amount of spiritual pressure. This one is by far my favorite. I love Call of Duty, so when you put a rocket inside of an anime, that's the one I'm gonna go with. So a little bit of bias here. Soifan's Bankai, I think it's called Raikkoben. It's a giant missile that you see it against Baragon, and they absolute decimate that man with a giant rocket launcher. Imagine you get a noob tube inside of an anime, and it has a assassin attached to it that can literally come right behind you and throw a rocket behind you. It's essentially not her favorite thing to do because she is an assassin. She likes stealth, so her Bankai doesn't really mix with her, and she rarely ever uses it because her Shikai is so immensely powerful that she doesn't normally need to use her Bankai, but when she does, it has complete destructive power. But the charge strength, the range is great, but the charge strength is a little bit ridiculous, and it is very bulky that slows her down. Number 7, Kokucho Tengen Mio Sajin Kamamura. Now this is a giant samurai basically from the Edo period that comes down and destroys anyone that he needs. Now the giant wolfman has his own strength, but guess what? There's a giant weakness with the giant samurai above. Now the destructive power for doing it out of 10, it'd probably be about a 9.5, right? You can level playing fields, you can destroy anyone in your way, and no one can block a giant sword unless your name is Captain Eisen, but that's neither here or there. So listen guys, what is the major issue with a giant samurai that can swing his sword as fast as the giant wolf creature can? Any attacks that the samurai takes, guess what? Our giant wolf friend is going to take that damage as well. You have a giant target, all you have to do is shoot a couple of Hidos at him and say, hey, good luck, my guy, because he's taking all that damage. So any cuts, bruises is going to reflect on our giant wolf guy, and that is why it's number 7, even though the destructive power is off the chart. Number 6, Tozen's Bankai is absolutely off the charts ridiculous. If you ever saw him fight Kenpachi Zaraki and Yamo, a literal god to me. I love Zaraki, but that's neither here or there. Zaraki could not see, smell, taste, or hear. All he can do is touch. So when he was stabbed, he grabbed hold of the Bankai, and that was the only way he could defeat Tozen. Little spoiler there if you're not that far, but listen, you get rid of all those senses except for one, and he basically can make the enclosed space as large or as small as he wants. It's his playing field, and he's the only one that has an advantage because he can already not see, but he has that hearing, taste, and all the rest of the senses. he can essentially allow you to be completely defenseless if he wants to. The only thing, there's a huge weakness with this. If someone stabs you, if you get in hold of the Bankai, you are completely back to normal. So that was a huge weakness with that, and Zaraki, for some reason with his battle instincts, found that out pretty quickly. Number 5, my Yuri's Bankai Ashi Sogi Jizo. Did I get kind of close? Let's describe what exactly it is and why is it so powerful, and is it destructive? Imagine your cousin as a 3-story giant baby caterpillar that can shoot out poison or eat you, and your poison changes literally every day, and the only one who has the antidote is a madman who may or may not ever give it to you. Mayuri can switch up his Bankai however he wants and prepare for the battle. He is a master strategist. He's like the Shikamaru of Bleach, excluding Kisuke. But that's another story. We don't have time for that right now. Yuri can switch up his Bankai however he wants. It could be a giant blimp, it could be a caterpillar, it can be just a regular baby, it can be whatever he wants, and he can also allow it to eat you, rip through the battlefield if he wants to. He can ride it, he can fly it, he can do whatever he wants. It's one of the most adaptable powers I have ever seen. Number 4 is a fan favorite, I know for sure. Gin, and I'm gonna mispronounce this, but we're gonna try it anyways. Kamishini no Yari. Now, essentially what this does is a few different things. There's actually a type of toxin poison that will break you down at a particle level inside his Bankai, but he can at least unleash it as quick as the sound. You hear it, you're already dead. It's about 0.8 seconds. That's how fast it is, and that's not even the destructive power. It's the retracting power that is so immense. Now, he can actually leave a little particle in your body, and you'll essentially break down whenever he pleases or activates it. That is essentially the most minute, completely overpowered Bankai I've ever seen. Now, essentially, it is a tad bit difficult to control a blade that extends probably 1,000 blades. I think he overestimates that in the anime and manga, but we're gonna go with it right now. So essentially, he could cut down whole buildings, whole battlefields, whatever needs to be done. But it is completely hard to control such a large blade, and you can see that in his fight against Aizen, where he gets absolutely obliterated. Number 3, where is our main character, Ichigo Kurosaki, Tenzin Zangetsu? I think I did pretty close on that one.
Give me the light now!
Right now. Anyways, what this does is essentially give him his speed feats like no other, attack power feats like no other. His blade changes to a dark black. You've seen the anime, you know what it is, and his cloak, you know what I'm talking about. He gets a little chain at the end. His cloak turns pretty nice, and essentially what it can do is do the Tenzin Zangetsu at extreme powers, and it turns into a black and red one instead of the blue and white one similar to his father's. I like this because the speed feats, it has no major drawbacks other than it has no real power other than a power boost and a speed boost. It doesn't essentially have anything unique about it, and we see Byakuya talk about that a little bit. That's all it is, and then he realizes, oh, that's all it is, because it's extreme powers and extreme speed and extreme destructive power. Number 2, one more and you're out of here, right? You're good. We're gonna hit that like button, we're gonna subscribe, and we're gonna talk about number 1 here soon. But first, we have to talk about a fan favorite. Not my favorite though, absolutely. It's like Itachi. Overrated, right? Byakuya Kyuchiki's Zenbon Kakiyoshi. Now, I do essentially love that it's a cherry blossom 1,000 blades, and you have a safe zone. Then if it goes inside the safe zone, he's essentially defenseless, and he can send those blades out at will, and basically he has speed feats as well because he has the flash step. So then he has the second form where he can make a circle around him of all the blades he wants and stabs you with whatever blade he wants. Then his third one, he has a crazy speed feat again with the white wings on his back. So essentially, why is this not number 1? Why is this not the most broken Bankai I have ever seen? The reason why it's not the most broken is because of that safe zone. He can essentially die pretty quickly, and if the blades don't come to his defense in the right time, he is defenseless because he has no blade to defend himself. That is why his speed is so immense, and that is why he does have those steps. Where has Toshiro Hitsugaya's Bankai been? It's at number 1, I promise you. It is the coldest so far in the anime that we've seen. I love it. I honestly am a huge fan of this one, but there's some huge drawbacks to it, but it's still at number 1 because of how cool it is. Now, essentially, his Bankai is an ice dragon. He gets giant wings on him. If you touch those wings or try to chop them off, you will get frozen if you're connecting swords with him. Anytime you hit him, your sword freezes. There's also, you're gonna notice in some of his Bankais that there's these giant ice petals that are melting while the battle progresses. Now, if those completely all the way melt, you essentially get frozen in a giant block of ice and you die because, well, your body needs to move the blood, and if your body doesn't move the blood, you're gone. We'll see you later, and we'll see you later out of this video. Thank you so much for watching and everything you guys do. Make sure you do drop the like and subscribe. I greatly appreciate it.